Awesome. All right. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call to order our special city council meeting for Monday, March 28th, 2022. Sylvia, will you please do roll call?
Mayor Mace.
Here.
Council President Rosner.
Here.
Councilor Garland.
Here.
Councilor Young. Here. Councilor Rouse. Here. Councilor Scott.
Here.
Thank you, Sylvia. We are meeting today because we just finished interviewing 4 applicants to fill the vacancy on our city council. And I want to thank the 4 folks that applied: Taylor Giles, Kareen Noreen, Kevin Owens, and Dan Stanke. Appreciate their interest in applying and meeting with us, answering our questions and letting us answer their questions. So there is a process to this, and we already initiated it. We declared the vacancy, started the 45-day clock, which we must appoint someone by. We had the application window where people could apply for a couple of weeks-ish, almost 2.5 weeks. And now we're to this point. Josh, explain the process that is next for
Yes.
charter.
Yes, so I will explain the process that's next, and then we'll also probably circle back with you at a later date to maybe make this process a little more streamlined and easy in the future.
There's a charter, and then there's an ordinance that got passed at some point for this process. So
We made a lot of fixes to our charter recently, but the ordinances are still lagging a little behind, so we'll clean that up. But under our code, what I'm going to do in a moment is call for nominations for people to fill the vacancy. After somebody nominates one of the candidates, I'll ask if there's a second. If somebody is nominated and seconded, then they will go on a list of candidates to be considered for that nomination in a vote that will follow. If a nomination is not seconded, then that person won't be considered any further. When there are no further nominations, we'll read back the list of the candidates who have been nominated and seconded, or the ones that you can choose from, and then we'll conduct a roll call vote. I'll read through each of your names, the councilors and the mayor, and ask you which of those candidates on the list you are choosing to vote for. And Sylvia is going to tally and announce the results of that. If one of the candidates gets at least 4 votes, that is the candidate who has been appointed. If we do not have one candidate with at least 4 votes, the code says that we will take the top 2 vote getters and repeat that process. What the code doesn't get into is if we can't pick the top two vote getters due to a tie. So in that case, what we're going to do, the best that we can do is we're just going to repeat the process with all of the candidates and see if we get either 4 votes for one, or can at least determine the top 2 to narrow it down, and then repeat the process.
Clarification.
Yes.
When you say all of the candidates, you mean all of the ones that were eliminated already?
All the ones that were nominated and seconded.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions about the process before we start?
Perhaps this is part of the cleanup you're talking about, but I know we've got 45 days to make a decision. What happens if we can't come to a decision in 45 days?
That's a great question. There is no built-in consequence to that decision. Off the top of my head, the thing that comes to mind is that an interested or affected party could seek a writ of mandamus from a court. The court would order you to fill that vacancy. Probably the most likely result would be you can't just continue to leave it open. A court would order you to actually follow the charter for that vacancy.
And when is the 45 days?
April 15th.
So before any other questions for Josh on the next part of the process? We did it our interviews tonight. We started the special meeting. The council, are you comfortable starting the voting process, or do you want to have a discussion first? Do you want to continue to another day because you want to reflect longer?
No reflection. I think we're good. Okay.
Let's move forward.
I have a suggestion.
Yep.
I would think, what if we do the first round of voting and nominations and then we deliberate on whoever's left, whoever's still in the running?
Whoever's not been nominated.
No. I mean, whoever has been nominated and seconded, then we deliberate before we take our final vote.
Okay,
Basically a discussion.
discussion on the nominated
Yeah.
people. Okay,
I like that idea.
That works.
Okay, in that case, I will open it up for any nominations.
I'll make a nomination. I would like to nominate Taylor Giles.
Second.
I nominate Kieran. Noreen.
Is there a second? Okay, any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Dan Stampy.
Second.
Any other nominations? In that case, we have two candidates, Taylor Giles and Daniel Stankey.
all right. Discussion on the two nominated folks.
Sure. First of all, I'd like to thank both Kieran and Kevin for applying. I thought they were both, very well spoken in their interviews and had a lot of positives to them. I'd love to see them both on the board or commission in the city. I think that's a great way to get involved. And it's great, to me, a springboard into eventually a city council position. So I think Kevin particularly would be well suited for planning commission. He brings a ton of knowledge to that board. So thank you both. For me, Taylor seems like we're filling a 9-month position, and Taylor's he's currently sitting on one of our boards and commissions, a present planning commission, which is also the one that is probably the most akin to city council as far as time commitment and, depth of role, if you will. So I think those, for someone who can hit the ground running on a 9-month term, I think it's clear and obvious that Taylor would fill that role, far and away, better than other people who would take longer to get up to speed. And it's not a knock on them. It's just a recognition of the fact that he's currently serving and deeply involved in the city operations already. So I'll leave it there for now.
I would tend to agree with that. I think we had 4 great applicants, all of who could serve. I mean, and anybody can serve on city council. I agree with Doug on the fact that Taylor's already serving on planning commission. He's already ran for council. He's already had votes from the citizenry to be on council. Plans to run again, it looks like. Dan, great interview. I think he could bring a lot to the council as well. But I think for this 9-month stint, having somebody already a little seasoned, and really boards and commissions is a way of moving up to council. Not that I haven't done that myself, but I know a lot of our counselors have used that as a stepping stone to council as well.
So I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach. I think what both of you said makes sense, but a different way of thinking about it is we would be pulling somebody from the planning commission who's already up to speed with some of the things that are going on and then have to fill that vacancy. Whereas if we take somebody else who isn't on a board or commission, we don't have to replace those 9 months. I think both candidates, either one of them would do very, very well in the position, but that's just another point you need to consider.
I've actually thought of that as well. Yeah.
I was going to say that as well. And I'll reiterate what everyone else has said. We had 4 fantastic candidates. Really appreciate that anybody stepping into this role voluntarily is really appreciated for somebody to do that. And the 2 that we'll be discussing tonight, both Taylor and Dan, definitely bring a lot of experience from their personal lives into this. Taylor with his current role in planning commission, Dan with his military experience and other work that he's done. I think both have shown that they can be team players, which came up time and time again in our interviews. Was the common theme that we talked about is our collaborative efforts to be on council. I think that's what we're looking for. For somebody to fill this role, it will be a short-term role, whoever wishes to proceed, or somebody else outside of these 4 can choose to run in November. But in the time being, I would like to find somebody who's willing to fit into the role, understand the role. And I think both Taylor and Dan have clearly done homework They know what the role calls for and will be ready to step in. So I think we have a good choice here tonight, and I think we can't go wrong with political issues. So excited to see what we do.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, I just want to echo, again, we had 4 great candidates. I enjoyed speaking to all of them. It was comforting to me that all 4 candidates came to the table just wanting to do the best for Sherwood. They love this community. We weren't getting folks who have some big agenda that they feel is really important and is their sole focus. And all 4 of them, I thought, would do well in working together with us on council, et cetera. So I was really pleased with the quality of candidates. They all deserve kudos for applying. For the 2 candidates that we've elevated to decide between, you know, I liked them both, to be honest with you. I think they both gave pretty good nuanced answers to questions, especially when we got into some of the tougher areas around how do you deal with the community expectations versus decision-making on the council. Both did really well on that. And I agree with Sean. I think both of them could do very well. And, you know, so for me, as I think about that, and I'll echo what Kim said, you know, one of those candidates has served on a commission. I think we just filled the other 2 positions on the commission. Is that correct?
We,
Or we have a recommendation for it?
I got a recommendation. I advanced it to a consent agenda.
Okay, good. So, you know, we have one candidate, Taylor, who's served on planning commission for a couple of years, ran 2 years ago, I believe, and was in 4th place in our 3-way eating contest, as we sometimes call it. So, you know, communities voted for him before, and he served on the planning commission, and Pate has done a lot of other good work in the community. So for me, he kind of rises to the top.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, we were blessed as a community by having 4 great applicants, including youth and Karen, which is fantastic. And with Dan and Taylor, we will be happy with either. I believe they will both serve with distinction, with Sherwood, what's best for Sherwood in the forefront of their mind. And that is awesome. The interviews was great answers, great questions. I was very pleased. And we can't go wrong. I like them both. You want to quit?
That's an option. That's why we're here, Tim. Why did you look at me?
I forgot to say
I'll be happy with whoever we choose. Taylor is, I have a bias, and certainly before I got on city council, I was on planning commission, and I knew the value of that experience that I was able to bring to city council, and I made being on city council a bit easier because it was one big bucket of stuff I didn't need to learn. So, any other questions or comments before we have Josh do a roll call like an ordinance for a vote? All right.
Okay, I'll go one at a time and ask you to vote for either Taylor or Dan. Councilor Doug Scott.
Taylor.
Councilor Russ.
Dan,
Councilor Young.
Taylor.
Councilor Garland.
Dan Stanky.
Council President Rosner.
Taylor.
Mayor Mays.
Taylor.
Okay, Sylvia, do you want to verify what I just tallied up here?
Yes, the council has 4 votes for Taylor and 2 votes for Daniel.
Thank you. So then pursuant to the city charter and municipal code, Taylor Giles has received the votes of a majority of the remaining members of the city council and is hereby declared to be appointed to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Councilor Russell Griffin. Taylor Giles will be seated as a city councilor upon taking an oath of office, which will occur on or before the date of the next regularly scheduled city council meeting on April 5th, 2022. And pursuant to the city charter, the term of office for this appointment will expire when the person elected at the November 8th, 2022 election takes office in January 2023. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. Thank you, council. Congratulations, Taylor, and we are adjourned.
Can I say something again? I assume somehow all the applicants will get notified. And I'm just wondering in that notification, if some of them had indicated they might be willing to serve on other boards, if we could let them know what other boards have open vacancies, one which would be the planning commission, which I think Kevin might be a huge fit, or even Dan. Kieran has a lot of things that he's interested in that might be a good fit on some of our other boards as well.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, great point.
Anything else we good?
Now you
All right, we're adjourned.
Yeah, I got another meeting.
Yeah, I got